Welcome to the podcast where we talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac, and on this bonus episode, I am joined by a longtime fan of the show and big-time Twitch streamer, Bryce.
How you doing, man? Nice to be here, and pleasure to get to talk to you in person.
Yeah, it's ours. What is your Twitch handle? Ecrib?
It's pronounced Ecrib, so ECRYB.
Ecrib. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. We started, I guess, how we met, or since you contacted us through the podcast, talking about how much a fan you are and stuff like that, and we send you some stickers, and you talk about you have a haunted mirror, and then we help you out with that.
Yeah, that was an event and a half. Honestly, I think I started listening to you guys probably earlier this year when I started my new job at Amazon and all that. And one thing that really stuck out to you guys is that you're so not personal, but the chemistry that you and Megan have and your conversations and your stories, it blends so beautifully in the podcast storytelling that you guys got me hooked on the very first episode that I listened to.
That scary stories. Yeah. I can't remember. It's been almost 2 years ago.
It was one of the I don't know. I think it was one of the scary stories that you guys had your podcast featured on another series where they just did a bunch of like horror podcasts that are featured everywhere.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And it was a long time ago. Taking me back to memory lane, which like I think back to the old episodes that when we recorded, it was just like audio quality was so bad compared to what we have it at now. But then again, we didn't know what we were doing. I'm like I bought a cheap podcasting equipment on Amazon, and I was like, this is what we do, and we found out 3 months to us recording that none of it was actually recording through microphones. It was just a computer's microphone. And I'm like, oh my god.
You got to start somewhere.
Well,
my first webcam for streaming was a Xbox 360 Connect. You know what I mean?
Oh, geez. But what's interesting with you, I mean, you contact us and stuff like that, but you have a lot of paranormal experiences on your own. Yeah.
I didn't think I would. You know what I mean? You don't realize when something happens, and then later on in life you start realizing, at that young age you couldn't process it, and you experience similar things throughout your life, and then you realize all those events throughout my childhood kind of pushed me and like progressed me to opening my eye a little bit more.
Yeah, and I remember the situation we helped you with a mirror is because you saw a child's handprint in the glass.
And it is still there.
Oh, geez.
but the vibes are good here. Everything's good now. The only fact about living here is it's an apartment building, so you don't know what else is going on around me in the apartments next to me, below me, and all that. So,
and from these situations of people we've helped in the past, apartments seem to be the catalyst for a lot of things, especially portal related. I'll say you can't control what someone messes with above you or below you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
that's why I want to get my own house soon, but we'll see. We'll get there.
So one thing I want to start off with is how did you? I mean, granted, a lot of people got into Twitch streaming when it started happening, but how did you get into it to the point where you're at now?
So, I feel like everybody around my age now. I'm 25 currently. I just turned 25 in August. Ever since I was a kid, maybe like I'm like 10 years old. I've always had a camera in my hand. So I was always like recording stuff, making little videos with my neighbors and my friends and just messing around. And had a YouTube channel, a few thousand subs when I was younger. And then in high school, one of my friends was like, hey man, why don't you get into streaming? And pretty much 10 years later, I'm still streaming on Twitch because there's no reason to stop. The thing that got me to press go live every time is the fact that if I could just give one person a smile, then I've done my job. And that's what keeps pushing me to just keep doing it and pushing content out and just being me,
That's awesome. Yeah, I know the whole reason why we started podcasting was because of the pandemic. And me and Megan had a little free time, but also because our weird conversations we would have at night, which fun fact, and no one really knows, our original thought for the podcast would have been called Pillow Talk, but that has very much sexual innuendos, so we kind of that.
Yeah.
But no, we stuck with not your average conversation podcast, which most of our conversations never were. But that was like the foundings of the original podcast that led into Hidden in the Shadows. But what's your your sub count on your stream?
On stream, about 60 subs because that's like subscribers, and then I'm around actually almost 4,000 followers on Twitch. Oh yeah, there's subs which people can pay for, then there's the followers. Kind
Oh, okay. So it's like
of
you
like
got
a monthly
Patreon.
subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So, what is a recent paranormal experience that you've encountered?
There's a lot of, I'm not even going to say paranormal experiences. I would say spiritual experiences that obviously have occurred over the past year. And recently, lately, it's what you guys probably would just call it as like a lot of synchronicities, that have been popping up, and they don't just happen for a reason. And I look at it and I process it and I think, and then I kind of talk to, I feel like my spirit guides, and they 100% just verify that it's not just coincidence. And then that's something I've realized ever since I was a kid. Things happen for a reason, and nothing is a coincidence.
Yeah, and I mean that's how I kind of I'll say kind of lived my life by for a long time, but that's how I kind of adopted that to reason, because if I pay attention to everything that's happened before, I can see where it's led to everything now.
I mean, I wrote down a little like list here. I could kind of go in a little timeline of experiences for you if you want.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So the thing that really opened my eye was when I first started listening to you guys, and you mentioned and recommended a YouTube video called "Find Your Spirit Guide Meditation." And
oh yeah, I was just oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend anybody just look that up on YouTube and give it a try, because Isaac and Megan helped me already with this. So then after I heard you guys mention this on your podcast, I went home. I went on to YouTube. It was a day after work. I was relaxing, and I threw it on this meditation, put in my AirPods, sat in my computer chair, and I just tried to meditate. I tried meditating with my roommate maybe a week or two earlier on the day, and I feel like I couldn't get the hang of it, or I just couldn't. And I threw on this meditation video that you recommended, and the lady that was talking walked me through it. And by the end of this video, I had tears running down my cheeks. So she was mentioning, go to your happy place, you're in a field, all this stuff. And the person that came to me right away was my grandfather. And I never met my grandfather. It's my dad's dad. He died before my older sister and I were born. So I never got to see him. I never got to hear his voice, all this stuff. And throughout my, when I was a kid, I would always look at pictures at him, and I would just stare, and I would just look at him because like I always wished I met him. And in the spirit guide meditation, he came to me, and we were at my grandmother's house. I'm literally getting tingles right now on my left side. Just talking about it. And he said to me, he was like, I'm pretty sure it was like, "Hey kiddo," and I was just crying, just bursting, like it's you. It's nice, it's finally awesome to see you and talk to you. But the beginning part of this, we didn't talk. We were just throwing football in my grandmother's front yard, just smiling and just looking at each other and just throwing football. And by the end of this, the lady in the meditation video was saying, it's time to go. You'll see them soon. Say goodbye. And then it went from the front porch to the back porch. And as soon as she said that, he said, "I'll see you soon, kiddo." And that was the first time. That's the only thing he said to me. I never heard his voice or anything. And he said, "I'll see you soon, kiddo." And I opened my eyes from the meditation. I was just blown away because I felt like I talked to my grandfather. And after that, I was, sitting at home throughout the next week, just watching anime in my AirPods. As you do, you just watch anime and just relax and unwind from the day. And I thought I heard whistling, not in my ear, not from the anime, because I rewinded it. I'm like, I thought I heard a whistle. I took my AirPods out, kept listening. The whistling came from outside of my head. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's weird. It sounds like my dad's whistle, because me and my dad growing up, we would always whistle, and just throughout the house, you would hear me and him whistling songs and stuff like that. I'm like, that sounds like my dad's whistle, but it's higher pitched. It's not his whistle. Skip forward. I go home. I ask my dad as I'm leaving the house. I say, "Dad, hey, did Grandpa ever whistle?" He's like, "Yeah, I actually learned to whistle from him. I would always try to out whistle him." And I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." He's like, "Why?" And I'm like, I think I talked to him. I think I heard it. I think I heard the whistle. And he got all teary eyed and everything, and just kind of speechless. A couple days go by. I talk to my mom and I say, "Hey mom, did did he call people kiddo? Did he ever you say that word?" And she also went and awestruck and said, "Yeah, he said that a lot." I'm like, "Okay, all right, that's another confirmation for me to feel like, to confirm and verify this is real in my mind, and not just in my mind." A lot of crazy stuff, kiddo, all that. And that was just another thing that helped me open up to things around me and trust the universe, and just, there's something much more than we are down here on this earth. There's not just this. There's so much more, you know. And after that incident, I kind of just kept meditating and trying to talk to my spirit guides or getting to know who's watching over me and who's protecting me. And another day, I actually reached out to Megan and you guys for this because I sent like a 5-minute video and Megan and you listened to the story. And this was another day I woke up. Woke up immediately. All I heard was police sirens. From the start, I woke up. There's so many police sirens outside my apartment driving by, all that. And that's not normal. I don't really hear that many police sirens out here, but this was like constant all day. And as soon as I heard that, I felt kind of uneasy because I was supposed to hang out with my friend Dan, and we were going to go pick up some Pokemon cards that he found on Facebook Marketplace. So from that, I was kind of excited for the day, but as soon as I heard the sirens, I just felt uneasy throughout the day. So I was going to go and pick him up and all that. So I got in the shower, normal day. I smoked a little. I don't know how you guys feel about cannabis, but I smoke a little cannabis.
Nothing against it. Nothing against it.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of opens up your third eye a little bit, or just everything around you. So I smoked a little bit. I got in the shower and I was playing music. All of my liked songs on Spotify. I know what song is playing. I know what's in every song, and I heard it because it's my liked song. And I'm just playing music off of my speaker, off my phone, and I'm in the shower, and I feel like the room kind of gets a little foggy in my mind around me, and the music dims, and then I start hearing rainfall over the music because it was raining that day. It was storming, just constant storms, and the sirens outside. So through this music, I start hearing rainfall, and then I hear tires screeching, and then I hear a voice that says, "What's going on? And just start screaming, and I hear a crash while I'm in the shower. And as this is going on, I stop because this is the ultimate fear. I've never felt this scared in my life ever. As soon as I heard what's going on, I whipped open my shower curtain, and I'm leaning down and I'm listening, and I'm like, what is this? It sounds like my dad's voice. And as soon as I hear the crash, I like panic. I get out of the shower, I grab my phone instantly, and I called my dad because I thought it was him. I thought I heard something. And mind you, all the music is still playing under all this, and I'm still hearing it, but like I hear the car crash more prominent over the music. And I call my dad immediately, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, Dad, where? I'm like, where are you? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm at home. I'm sitting on the recliner watching TV, and I'm frantic. My voice is just heavy breathing and everything. He's like, are you okay? Yeah, I just wanted to check in. So after that, I hung up, called my family, and I just talking to my mom, talking to my sister. I tried calling my aunt because my aunt is the spiritual one on my mom's side that kind of helped me awaken, as many people say nowadays. And I'm just frantic about it, uneasy. And I made the decision to not go that day with my friend and not drive or do anything. And as soon as I texted him and said, yo, I'm not going to do this today, I can't, that uneasy feeling just left. The sun came out, and it was just, I was fine. I called my aunt. She helped me process through all this stuff. She's like, maybe it was a sign. Maybe somebody's trying to tell you not to drive or go out today. And that's when I sent that video to you and Megan, and you guys helped me a lot. And Megan was like, oh, maybe it's somebody or a spirit drawn to you. Literal chills as soon as I just looked over there. Okay. And she said, yeah, it's a guy. He likes you. He likes your vibes. He likes to just, he thinks you're a good person just to watch and have fun with. And maybe he was just showing me how he passed through that experience in the shower. And that really processed and helped me a lot to come to terms with what happened that day. Because as soon as I told my friend I wouldn't go, that uneasy feeling just left.
I wonder, because that almost sounds something like Megan's visions that she gets when she gets a message. And I would say it's an answer to a question you never asked is the best way I would describe Megan's when she gets downloads and messages and stuff like that. Like it's an answer to a question you never asked. So that almost felt like a warning, like someone telling you ahead of time, hey, don't do this because this will happen, but not giving a context or at least whatever like that. Just give you like the sound of what would happen, but not when and where. And you're listening to your gut, listening to intuition, basically said it might have happened tonight, so I'm not going to. And when you decided to make that decision, that's when anxiety left because it wasn't going to happen anymore. So all your warning signs was disappearing because it wasn't going to happen because you made a decision not to.
And that's another thing I've also really gotten into this past year is listening to my intuition and not just my gut. I've been listening to kind of that voice in my heart, you know, not the voice in my head, but the voice in my heart. I'll ask it questions like, can I go here? You know, should I, if I'm at work, like, can I put my AirPods in? Like, am I going to get in trouble if somebody walks around the corner? And if I hear yes or no, if I hear a no, I won't do it. Little seconds go by, my manager walks by. If I hear yes, I put it right in and I'm good to go. The thing about this story with the shower and the Pokemon cards, the thing is my friend that Dan that was going to purchase these cards on Facebook Marketplace, I saw this listing a literal week before and I, you know, was like, I'm not going to buy it. I can't afford it. It's a good price, but I won't. And something in my gut was like, you know, just go with Dan or just talk to him and help him out. And somehow I kind of knew that these cards would come into my possession because a week or two goes by after he gets them. He's like, yo, man, I don't know what to do with these. They're too expensive, like to, you know, grade and all. I'm just going to give it to you for a price. I'm like, wow. So another thing, I listened to my intuition and it ended up coming to me. You know what I mean? I wasn't stressing. I was happy that he was getting into the collection side of it. And I was kind of jealous, but the more prominent feeling was that it'll work out, you know?
No, and that's just it. I'm not saying everyone does, but most people do. But I'm wondering if you might have some form of a psychic ability of some kind of intuition stronger than most people, because most people get a message here and there.
Mhm.
But if you're paying enough attention, and you've already made a connection to the spirit guide, making the connection to one of your spirit guides, just one, is almost difficult enough for anyone. Those who are more inclined to the other side, the connection to the ether, kind of like me and Megan and other psychics on our team have, it's a lot easier because we have that more connection going forward and stuff like that. But with you, it seems like you already made contact with just one session. So I don't know, give that information to Megan. Maybe she can help you get stronger with some possibility of a gift.
I feel like I've always experienced
Not to
no
put a
no
lot more on your plate, but
no man, I'm ready
yeah.
for it, dude. Ever since I was a kid, I've always kind of been I don't know, it sounds weird, but drawn more into like the magical side of things, and I've always noticed the very small detail of just the world, and everything is more colorful and vibrant when you just kind of look at it at a mind's eye and thinking, what's the best thing that could happen? Because when I was a kid, I got deja vu, and I kind of thought this was a normal thing for everybody because how frequently it happened to me. I literally thought everybody else experienced deja vu like that. I got it literally. It's gonna sound weird, but just too many times, you know, something like, oh, I feel like I've known this before, and it's kind of like a version just like smacks into me. You know what I mean? When it happens, it's just like, boom, I've been here before. I've seen this. I've experienced this, and it's never kind of, you know, thrown me off or scared me, but it's always just been these feelings of deja vu that have occurred a lot. And I mean like a lot.
Deja vu is a weird thing. I know I talked about in the episode before when I used to have these like almost seizure level episodes every time I would experience
Mhm.
deja vu. But to me, after just getting older and getting more aware of what's going on and let's pay attention to when it's happening, I can focus
Mhm.
on the mental pain and I get to see what I'm seeing, which is like a memory or at least a memory of someone that's not me or an alternate version of me, which led me to think
Mhm.
that I was peering into an alternate reality, and us colliding is where I got the information from. Which some people, debate on what deja vu is to begin with. It's like a misplace of the mind. Your short term is not sending the full signal to your long term at the same time, and
Mhm.
that's where you get the effect that you've been doing this before, even though you haven't done it. Some people say it was like a past life memory that's happening over again,
Memory.
hence why it feels like it's deja
Mhm.
vu. Not the time, but the situation is the same. Like you experienced the
Mhm.
same thing in a previous life, almost the same exact way, enough for you to go, "Had I been do this before?" Um,
Mhm.
there's different things behind deja vu, which I think we had an episode on it, but uh,
Mhm.
we're still trying to figure out exactly what it is. But
It's just something like in the past year alone that kind of helped me kind of journey so far is I was at like a Thanksgiving get together with my family, uncles, aunts, cousins, so many cousins at my grandmother's house. They passed away, and we still get there from time to time just to have like a family get together. And I heard a conversation with my aunt and my other cousin, and I heard them say the word deja vu. I immediately spun around and I said, "Did you guys just say deja vu?" And I told them about everything I've been kind of experiencing, and they're like, "Oh wow, I guess you are like like us." Because my aunt, she always thought she was alone. She's like, "I'm gonna help you and your cousin along this awakening process," because I always thought I was the weird one out or alone in this family. And it turns out, my aunt told me this story from when she was a baby. She was born in Syria, and then they moved over from from Syria to America. When she was still a baby, my grandmother's mom, she was holding my aunt in her arm, and she's like, she has a gift, and she told my grandmother, her daughter, she's like, do not expose them to this lifestyle. Do not, do not let them use this stuff or this gift or anything, And it turns out like it's kind of passed down from my aunt, and all this throughout the family to me and my other cousin, because we've experienced this stuff since we were kids, and we kind of just thought it was normal, or we thought we were weird, or we thought we were just not. I always thought I wasn't normal growing up, and that was something that kind of confirmed it, because I've just been hearing stuff. I always heard my name a lot when nobody said it. I would hear breathing, especially one time. Oh, okay, this is a paranormal experience that I haven't told my cousin Joey. I'm sorry, do not listen to this. He just bought a house recently after he graduated, and this house was built in, I think, 1860, something like that. It's a nice house, but it's like a townhouse, and it's pretty old. So old that the basement is creepy as hell. First time I went over to his house, he was showing me around. I was walking up the steps, and he was about to walk into his bedroom, which is at the front. He's like, come in. Got to the top, and I heard just the loudest breath in my ear, and it didn't scare me, but I like jumped. And I was like, he's like, you okay? I was like, and internally I'm thinking like, should I tell him? I'm not gonna say anything. But just the loudest breath right in my right ear that came out of nowhere, and it wasn't like of ill intent. It was just kind of like, I'm here and I can see you kind of breath,
Jeez, man. Nothing's gotten that close to me in years, but then again, I can feel it coming before it does, so it's not fair for them. But I remember one time sitting on laying on a couch watching TV, and we lived in Spring Branch, me and Megan, and I was just laying there, the lights on in this one entry room that no one else can get into. I'd laying there, I hear clearly behind me, like right next to my left ear, like a little girl go, Isaac, like girl, like quite a, I'd turn around, like I thought it was like one of her sisters, like trying to mess with me.
Yeah.
No one can get in this room without me seeing, because there's only one door to get in, and it's a very tiny room. Yeah. So I was just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Okay.
I kind of want to get back into like maybe like another paranormal story. It was the mirror that you guys kind of helped me with.
Yeah.
So I moved into this apartment last August, not this one that just happened, the previous August. It's been a year that I've lived here now, and I have a mirror hanging up on my closet door. And this was time ago, when I moved in. I had my cousin over, his girlfriend, and my sister came over. There was no kids. My sister has kids, but they weren't here. No child has been in this apartment. I noticed one night there's just a small handprint smudge right across like the middle of the mirror. And at first it kind of scared me, because I filmed it and I messaged you guys and I showed you. I'm like, what do you think of this? And since then there was kind of like some, I don't know, like maybe some dark shadows in the corner of my room, or I might have just been in my head about it. But saging and just incense and all that's kind of helped clean it up, because that was just something that I've never experienced, and I was freaking out. I'm like, why is there a child's hand on this mirror? It just blew my mind, because there was no kids here. The mirror was clean before I brought it, and this handprint just pops up one night right before I go to bed. But it's all good now. There's the mirror's good. I don't get scared looking at the mirror anymore.
I just want to stop you for a second. Don't freak out. But I just pulled something from your camera, from you.
I got a little tingle too on my left side. It felt like it was going past me into.
Yeah, I always try to warn people ahead of time that whatever is on your side can come here, whatever's on my side can go there, but also I can pull from the camera. So if someone was listening a moment ago, I don't know if you could hear what I did, but yeah, I just took something from dark from your place.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because as soon as it happened, it got a lot like fluffier and lighter in here too. All right. I appreciate it.
It wasn't that strong. If our avid listeners know, when I talk about smoke and sand, that was smoke. You're saying about the mirror?
Yeah. After I kind of helped from you guys, the mirror hasn't felt any presence, or just kind of like more than just me in the reflection. Same thing with the other mirror in my bathroom. Whenever there's water running, because I feel like water is a conduit. Whenever the mirror, if I'm looking at it, it gets a little blurry around me, or things start moving. But that was before and hasn't happened since. But another experience that I just want to mention is one time I came home from work. I was having a long day. I just wanted to take a quick nap, laid down, and in this dream I was in my apartment, and I was in the kitchen. God, this is another story that has another story before it. So I had a friend over. He brought a friend with him, and this was the first time in the apartment, and she told me she walked into my bathroom, and I heard like a little yelp. She got a little like freaked out in there, and she came out, and she's like, there's something in the hallway, because we started getting into a little spiritual conversation. She's like, there's something in the hallway. It's the bathroom. It's the shower curtain. And since that happened, I've always kind of felt a presence here or there, in that bathroom. And after she told me this, I took a nap one day, and I was in my kitchen, and I said before I laid down, I'm like, all right, you can talk to me if you want. I'm gonna take a nap. Talk to me. You can talk to me in my dream. I go in my dream. I'm in my kitchen, and I'm like, all right, I'm here. Say whatever you want to. And I peered into the hallway, and I heard like a growl come from the bathroom, just like a low little rumble growl. I'm like, oh, cool. I got something. You're talking to me. Come on out. You can say whatever. And out of this hallway it's gonna sound weird, but this is also I've heard is like my interpretation of it. It's like a big brawlic demon devil thing with big horns. It was black, or no, it was red, and I was like, what are you doing here? What's your name? And it said like, I'm not gonna say it, but it was like some weird name that I looked up and I couldn't find anything. But I'm like, what are you doing here? Why are you watching over me? And he's like, I'm just here. I'm like, is it good or bad intent? He's like, either. I'm just, like, we'll see. And I was like, okay, and in this dream, as soon as he was like, it's neither good nor bad, I'm just here to like watch and all this. As soon as that happened, the door opened, and my roommate walked in this dream, and I looked at him, I was like, oh shit. And as soon as he walked in, I looked back at this demon thing, and it took form of my friend, who I'm not hanging out with as much anymore. And it kind of makes a little sense, and that I kind of woke up from that. I'm like, okay, that was maybe a sign or like a realization, space myself out, That was just a crazy dream that in the time made no sense, But now that I've experienced the things I've experienced, the things kind of came together, and I understand what was meant for me to take away from that conversation in that dream.
Yeah, because I would take that as a bad sign if I second I saw that thing, but
yeah,
but no,
but like I there wasn't any bad vibes from it. That's another thing I want to talk to you later about that. But there wasn't any bad senses from this thing, because in my dream I was happy, I was smiley, how I normally am, just talking to this big thing, this big demon thing, and it was very concerning in the moment, but I wasn't scared, when it like showed itself to me.
Yeah, most people would shit their pants. It's a sight of such a thing.
That's another question for you. Can the dark side, is that just pure evil? You know what I mean?
A lot of people want to debate and say otherwise, but I always say yes. Anything considerably dark, considerably evil it's a such thing. And it always comes to the question I've been asked about what I do. And of course, all too well. And whoever listens to this episode without listening to other episodes is kind of weird if this is your first episode listening to the podcast. But everything that charges my right hand is essentially evil. And I'll explain this. I can't choose which hand or what the entity charges, my left or my right. It just happens. What the entity is what it charges my right hand. So if you charge my left hand, you're on the side of light. You're a good entity. If you charge my right hand, you're on the side of darkness. Whether you're just an a-hole or a high king of hell, it doesn't seem to matter. If you charge my right hand, that's the situation. You are on the dark side of the spectrum, on the negative form of energy. And everything so far that I have pulled off the plane that has charged my right hand, I have put, in course, into the infamous ring that I talk about in the Shadow Walker Part 3 episode. And everything that I've asked, because I can go into the ring and ask, what were you doing there? What did you want with that person? So forth and so on. And they always give me greedy, selfish, or narcissistic reasons of why they were there. I wanted their power. I was attached to them. I was imprisoned by a dark witch, blah, 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 blah. This and that is always a negative reason. It's never was like, oh, I was there beyond my will, or I was trying to help him out. No, it's never anything nice. And then symbols of evil and stuff like that, or anything that's considered dark, is always dark, whether it's saying it is or it's trying to manipulate people and thinking it's not. And demons are always the ones that we're trying to essentially trick people and convince them and manipulate them to allow them in. And once they're in, then they take over. In a longer roundabout, yeah, anything considerably evil is evil, and there's no changing it. I always say that is that a person can be reason. A person can change through time, but these things are frozen, and time is no relevance to them. They're outside of time, so they are the way they are, and will be the way they are for existence.
I like getting into like a conversation like this too, because it's there's like another thing you can take it a step further, that it was the archangels, or Satan started off as an angel. You know what I mean? He was made good from God, but then throughout his journey, he betrayed God and was made into a demon, or became the devil, because of how the actions he's made as an angel, and was cast out of heaven. So just like a theoretical possibilities, you don't think there could be some sort of demon or some sort of evil force that is made evil, but can't make the transition to a light kind of style, you know what I mean, and to heaven.
Here's a concept that, and I'm no longer Christian, and I don't look at anything from a Christian point of view anymore. But when you look at demons at a point of view of Christianity, that's how you would see it, as fallen angels came down. And that's really not the whole story. The angels that fell with Satan down to earth, essentially, is where hell is. This is hell. Not our earthly plane, but the other dimension outside on earth is same time. So if you think of hell as not a place, but another dimension, essentially, it helps concept it more. You're right. You're like blinking really hard.
Yeah, I heard my name, and then kind of like a push. You know what I mean? It was weird.
All right. What I've learned is that demons, or the creatures portrayed as demons, have been in every form of religion in every culture across the entire world. Before Christianity even claimed to even say what demons were, the entity, the creature, the demon that they are, have existed on the planet longer than man has. When Satan fell to earth and brought a few of them with him, those angels were corrupted and changed into more demonic creatures, which probably is the reason why you have some higher level demons, because they have more power versus, say, the average demon, stuff like that. And that's why Satan essentially became ruler. This is my theory. I don't know if there's any facts behind it, but essentially why he became the ruler, because he still had the touch of God when he fell. Hence why he could rule them, because he had that light still within him to basically not change the demons, but basically control them. He could say, I'm in charge now. And they're like, no, you're not. And they pick a fight, and they're not going to win. And that's how he became ruler. Granted, he became the corrupter and the most corrupted by everything that you've ever heard. But that's what I've learned, discovering in studying other religions and studying other forms of spirituality, and learning and starting demonology, that too, when it comes to everything. But it seems that there's a hierarchy, and there's a lot more levels, and some of these demons have been around long time, long before Lucifer fell from heaven and stuff like that. So the idea of an angel switching back from demonic to say from a demon to an angel, I don't think it's been too long for them to go back, and if they have, they most likely already did. And you probably never heard of it. Who knows what's going on in the spiritual realm other than what we're told?
Yeah.
That's just something that
just blows your mind. Yeah, literally. Another thing after this, can you go into the ring and ask that smoke what it wanted with me, and why it was just kind of following me around or whatever?
Oh yeah, I can. That's the most recent thing I put in there, so it's closest to the door. I call it. It's not an actual door, but it would be the first entity in there when I go in. Like how I talk about the mind forest when I. By the way, I would like to see what's in your mind forest.
I was just gonna tell you about it too. That's the funny thing.
Everyone, like I said, everyone's foliage is different. Everyone's what's in there is different, stuff like that. So I don't. With yours, it might not be so dark. It might have maybe one or two things in there. Who knows? But no, it's the same concept. I go in there into not the ring's mind forest, but essentially what would be interpreted as. So I can see what's inside. And yeah, it would be whatever I pulled would be the closest to it.
So to the mind forest thing, what I kind of, in my mind, what I know the mind forest as is literally my happy place. Because whenever I thought of this place throughout my childhood, I just got that big burst of dopamine, that big relaxing, calming feeling. You know what I mean? And ever since I was a kid, I didn't know what it was, but I thought it was just my happy place to calm me down, and the surge of dopamine all over my body and just instant happiness. You know what I mean? Whatever, instant gratitude, instant love. And ever since I was a kid, and I kind of this happy place. You know, Yoda's tree.
Yeah.
It was literally it
Yeah.
was literally Yoda's big tree, but it's this massive tree with kind of like opening, kind of like a dome. And as you go down, it kind of gets closer, like steps and all that, kind of like a little fairy folk kind of village. But it's just this big, massive tree that I always went to as a kid in my mind that would just ease me instantly. And I mean instantly.
Now, your dark side of your mind force is different from the light side. So if I were to take your right hand, that's dark side. That's what you try to hide, not what's exposed. As I go into the left side, it's not much of a forest, it's more of a field. Very open, very everything there. And so far, everyone on when I take their left hand and look into their light side of their mind, they're always standing there with someone. The significance of that person, I'm still trying to figure out. Because with, let's say, Megan, it's our son. She's standing there with our son. With Mike, who's also on the psychic team, his light side, he's standing there with one of his dogs that passed away. With our other Megan on the psychic team, she's standing there with her son. So it's not necessarily who you love the most, but it's almost like whoever I get. Like I said, not a companion thing. I still can't figure out myself why a specific person is on your light side of your mind with you. So someone would be with you. I couldn't tell you who it is, and so I go and see. So I mean, you can guess all you want, but we don't know until I can see.
Yeah, but that's this thing that my happy place was just kind of like a big open, kind of like an open fieldish with this big, massive tree right in the middle, and it's something I've never seen or I've never like experienced in person, but it was ever since I was a kid, 5 years old, 4 years old, I would go to this in my mind, and it was just instant happy place. So after I did the spirit guide meditation, I got into this routine of putting on, certain Hertz music to just lay down and meditate to. And there was one day where I was laying in bed and the sun's out and all that. And this was when that darkish feeling was still here. I feel like I cast it away, or I cast it away, and I don't even know how to say cast away, but it was gone. And as soon as I'm laying there meditating, I'm like, okay, is there anybody else here? And just I'm like, I'll pass you over it. You know what I mean? A long line of people kind of formed next to my bed, and I feel like I crossed over an old lady. And as she was going, she was like saying thank you and all this, and just literal tears going down my face as I'm laying in bed. And so many things. I feel like I have like a connection where I can talk to people's souls, because there was a few times where I'm laying in bed with lucky lady, and my head is touching their head, and I'm talking to them, and I'm asking them questions. I'm like, is this, I'm actually talking to you? Make your finger twitch. And we're laying there, nothing's going on. Their finger twitches. I'm like, okay, now twitch your leg. Then their leg twitches, and crazy things like that. That I'm like, this can't be happening. I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to them, but I'm getting these confirmations that as soon as I'm thinking, their thumb, their leg, their foot, their arm twitches. And then I wake up and I'm like, they're like, you okay? I'm like, did you just? I'm like, did I just talk to your brain? She was like, what? And we fell back asleep. But crazy things like that. I am very empathetic with people, because I can meet people, and this happens at work too. I'll just work a job with them, and I'll introduce myself, and they will literally instantly vent to me and tell me their life story without me talking. They're like just asking about them. And that's something I've always kind of experienced so far, because it might sound weird, but I feel people's attention draw to me when I'm in public. And wherever I walk in a room, I feel people instantly just, their energy just kind of shifts towards me. And my mom, she told me, this was a few months ago when I was listening to a true crime podcast, and that's when my vibe was kind of a little lower. My mom, she told me, she's like, you need to be careful what you listen to. You need to be careful what you go through, because you're an empath like me, like my mom. She's like, you just need to be careful because you feel things so much more than normal people do. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that makes sense, But yeah.
You say your mom was an empath?
Yeah, she's very empathetic towards people, and I never really knew, but she's always smiley, and she is the strongest woman that I know. My mom, and my father's the hardest working man I know, but my mom has been through a lot, and she's so strong and always smiling, and that's something I took from her growing up.
I think Megan was not looking at you directly; she's more looking around you. But I'm going to ask her to look directly at you one time and see if she could pick up on any abilities from you and your bloodline.
Awesome.
Or even,
That'd be awesome.
or even to speak to your spirit guides. Have you? I know earlier you were talking about how you're talking to your spirit guides, stuff like that. But I know everyone usually has 3. Some people have 4. But has one of them given you their name?
I just got. I don't know why, but I just got the word Frank. Like feeling, just got a feeling burst in my shoulder and Frank. But I feel like my 3 spirit guides are my cousin Matt, my grandfather, and my grandma. But I'm not 100% sure because it's just like those similar feelings that I get,
By practice and by experience, I'm not saying this is 100%, but majority of the time, your family members are not your spirit guides. Their spirit guides are spirits from different time periods that are there to guide you to your spiritual things. And most of the time, they're not family members. I'm not saying yours aren't. I'm just saying majority of people, even including me, Megan and Mike and other Megan, they have no family ties to us whatsoever. I've not talked about mine several, about Azul, Ojin, and of course the cowboy who yet to give me his name. But of course, Azul, the Aztec warrior, Jaguar warrior from of course the early 300 AD, and goes Ojin, the Northman from of course the early 1000 AD, century of the age of Ragnar and stuff like that. And of course, the cowboy from the West, 1800s and stuff like that. These 3 guys from 3 different time periods, from 3 parts of the world, no relation to me whatsoever. Never once had a family, including Megan. Megan's, of course, a Native American, a gypsy, and I forgot the other woman is she's Romanian as well. And then, of course, Mike's, so far, the 2 that he's met is a surfer dude and, of course, another cowboy from the West. And then Megan's, most recently, she has a female, a cowgirl, you could say, who gave her full name, not just her first name, her full name, which I've never had a spirit guide say that to. She says that her name is hey, how you doing there, darling? I'm Maddie Bale. Right? She has that kind of voice. She looks like Annie Oakley. Is the best way I describe how she looks like. But most of the time, it's not a family member. A majority of the time, at least that's what we were always told. And from our experience, it seems to be the answer, or at least the correct thing.
I think one time I remember asking for a name, and they said it, and I remember looking it up, and I thought it would be something, and I didn't find anything online, but I completely forgot it because it's been over a few months since I've asked, what is your name? But there's been so many times at work where I've gotten continuous confirmations from my spirit guide that is not just in my mind. There's a recent story right now that I can mention, that I mentioned to a few friends that also blew their mind. So I work at an Amazon warehouse and I pick. So I just push around a cart and I have a scanner. That's pretty much it. An item comes up and it tells me what to pick. And it's just at random. And it's just any random. Like I'll go from food to clothes to shoes to books and all that stuff. Anything. One time I'm working, I'm just walking around doing my thing. I'm scanning. And this is pretty recent because I took 2 pictures of this because it just blew my mind. I needed to take pictures, so I had proof. While I'm at work, I always see dragonflies following me around, and dragonflies will hover right above my car and literally follow me around the parking lot to a new parking spot. And then they'll follow me in, they'll walk around. Nonstop dragonflies lately. Nonstop. I see them everywhere, especially in Florida that I just went on vacation with my girlfriend. Instant dragonflies as soon as I landed. But I was at work, and before this, I was walking around. I don't know if you know Moon Knight from Marvel Comics.
You're talking to a big comic book nerd. Of course I do.
So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of, what if I made like a comic book character? I'm like, I love werewolves, and I love the moon. So what about, moon wolf? I'm just thinking that. And as soon as I'm thinking this, a big urge of just kind of like bad vibes and depression kind of kicked in, because I walk around for 10 hours. Like I walk many miles throughout the week, literally from Philly to back. That's what it kind of adds up to. And you're just in your head, you're alone, just thinking. And as soon as I am in this bad vibe, I go, stop. I haven't done this in a while. Just, I look up and I'm like, thank you, spirit guides, for watching over me, protecting me, and all this stuff. And as soon as I look back down, the next item that I need to grab is a bracelet with a little amulet that has a picture of a wolf howling in front of the moon. And I'm like, no effing way this just happened. I literally was thinking of Moon Wolf right before this happened, 10 minutes earlier. And as soon as I say thank you and protect me, I look back down and it's just a picture of a bracelet with a moon and a wolf. I'm like, okay, there's no way this oh, actually I kind of knew, but like blew my mind. And I said, all right. I look back up, I'm like, as soon as I scan it, I look back, I'm like, so is that you guys following me around as dragonflies and protecting me? And the next thing I look right down after that bracelet is a child's book about dragonflies. And I said, oh, hell yeah. And I was like, all happy, I'm like instant vibe pickup. And that to me was instant confirmation that they are watching over me and they are protecting me and they are listening to me, because it's just random items at a time. You know what I mean? It's just a bracelet with a moon and a wolf right in front of it. And right after that, a book about dragonflies. As soon as I'm thinking and asking these questions, you know what I mean? Instant verification to me.
Something if you want to try, this is what I do when I want to have a conversation with my three spirit guides. Well, two, because the cowboy doesn't talk yet. He just kind of sits there and looks depressed all the time. He'll talk to me when he's ready. But Ojin and Azul and the cowboy, we sit around essentially a campfire in my mind forest that I created, which is more of an open field versus the forest, kind of like the plains of the big plains, the Great Plains of North America and stuff like that. That kind of area, just open field and stuff like that, short grass and stuff like that. But we sit around a fire on logs. And essentially, we discuss everything and anything from what I need to do, from things I experience, from new information, all that stuff, war plans of the future and such. That's how I communicate with them very directly. And I do this in a meditative state. And it's the best way I can see them clearly. I see them when I'm talking to them, what they look like. I've seen their faces. Well, two of their faces, like the cowboy, I can really see his lower chin because he's always looking down with his hat. But I'm always picking on him. He'll talk when he's ready. But I would say, I'll give that advice to you. Try next time in a meditative state to find a meeting place, your happy place, essentially. Sit around a table or whatever feels comfortable and talk to them. Maybe they'll show their faces. Maybe they'll be more clear of exactly who they are. Not saying that your cousins and your grandfather and stuff like that aren't around you, let's say protecting you, but always around. Yeah. But you have Pacific spirit guides who are assigned to you to guide you on your spiritual journey. And that goes to anyone who's listening.
Yeah. It's like this, ever since I started listening to you guys, this past year has just been very life-changing. Because before I moved out, I made a TikTok. This was around the pandemic. I'm like, do things feel off to anybody else? And that was around the time of like that great awakening that kind of occurred. And moving into this apartment and taking this new job was very quick. It was very sudden. And I never took a leap of faith like this, and everything along the way that's happened, I know has happened for a reason, because this is just kind of the beginning,
Yeah. The Great Awakening, or that actually was a terminology used back in the 1700s, I think. I can't remember when. Early 1900s. I don't know. I remember seeing that book in school, high school. I don't remember. Anyway, I feel like more people are becoming more aware of their spiritualness, you would say. And some more psychics are being awoken because of that, because a lot of psychics are shunned for their abilities, or at least told not to do so because it's considered evil or not right or not of God or whatever. So they kind of ignore it, or at least close themselves off to it altogether. Or it's not of the norm. Like, you're seen as a weirdo if you do so. So a lot of people more. In fact, I guess the point I'm trying to get across is that the more that it gets accepted, the more that's going to start, not say being mainstream, but a lot more people are going to start being more in tune to the ether and the other side and able to communicate. What I hope happens at the same time is the same thing I've hoped for since I got into the paranormal, is that I hope that science tries its best to start accepting the idea of the paranormal and trying to invent technology to view it properly, study it properly, and learn as much as we can from it, to be accepted as any other form of science. That's what my hope is, because I study enough science stuff as much as I do the paranormal at the same time, and try to collab it at the same and get the idea of energy that's yet to be measured is what I think spirits are made of.
Yeah, and just like another thing I've heard from you guys have talked about Dolores Cannon, and how you guys, or she might have said that one of the last stages throughout this past, or your multiple lives journey, is that towards the end of it, the last power you get is energy manipulation, like you've mentioned before. And I did make a TikTok one time where I put an incense down and I lit it, and I just focused on this incense. And I don't know if you've watched it or if you and Megan have watched it, but there's a split second, and I was recording for a good 8-10 minutes, but I'm focusing in this straight line as incense goes up, and as soon as my attention cuts away, the incense just cuts. You know what I mean? And just goes back to whatever. And it's just crazy things like that around me. Very staticky, very staticky. At work, my arms get up, hairs go everywhere. I'm static against everything. It's been a crazy year so far, and I appreciate your and Megan's help to kind of help me guide me through all this, and everybody else out there.
Yeah, well, exactly what we're here for. And I always tell people that listen to us that if they're ever in need of help or guidance or at least advice on anything, they can easily message us. We're not hard to reach. Time is almost up, but I do appreciate you coming on and the conversation we had today. Had a lot of
course, man,
eye-opening for a lot of people to listen, and also more getting to know you on that level. I guess anyone else that who's a fan of ours and a fan of yours, that'd be interesting to meet that person. I assume it is a couple. It has to be, just by chance and ratio. But to hear that side from you, I guess your side when it comes to spiritualists and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still got many experiences, which is very crazy because it has seemed like a lot and a lot to take in, but there's so many small things that I've noticed throughout the year, like a lot of synchronicities that do line up with personal thoughts and reasons and all that. I want to thank you and Megan seriously, because what you guys it goes way bigger than you guys ever initially imagined it would be. You know what I mean? You guys are helping and changing so many people's lives already, and you guys probably don't even realize it, right now.
Yeah, we don't, because they don't talk to us.
Guys, hit them up on Instagram, okay?
Yeah.
And TikTok at Hidden in the Shaw 6. Or is that Twitter?
That's Twitter. Hidden in the Podcast 2 on TikTok, which we didn't pick that name, just so we auto-generated. But where can everybody find you?
You guys can follow me and hit me up on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, everything, and Twitch, YouTube. Everything is eCryb, ECRYB. And another thing that everybody probably loves about you guys is it's not an episode if Megan doesn't go at the end. So I'm gonna do it in her place for you when you do the outro.
Yeah, you can. She'll probably laugh at that. It's funny. But as always, guys, you can catch our social medias at Hidden in the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden in the Shadows 6 on Twitter, Hidden in the Podcast 2 on TikTok. Our links to all our social media are always listen to us at hiddentheshadowspodcast.com. But as always, guys, we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
Yep.